And welcome back to 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel wherever you're tuning in from Instagram Live, where we are now, as well as Facebook, Apple, Spotify, VirginiaPreps.com. You name it. We thank you for making it part of your day. We now have a special guest with us. He is with 757 Soccer Chat. You can find it on Instagram. He can tell you more about it. James Clark with us. James, thanks for stopping by. How's your weekend going so far?
So far, so good. I appreciate you guys having me on. I do have to say, Matt, that even though I have known for a long time you're a longtime Cardinals fan, I have to side with Ed that the Cowboys would finish 1 or 2 every year in that division.
Oh, you would.
There you go, James. There you go.
Oh.
I'm glad you said it.
James, it was nice having you on the show today. See you later, James. Bye. No, we were back. There you go. Adios, James. Wow, he agreed with you. So he's already shot up in the top 5 of our guests now with you, Ed.
I knew he knew what he was doing. So, and I'm just glad he brought it out, unsolicited response. And James knows these things, and he's biased because he's not called me. We've not talked. It's just the way it is. Cardinals are good, but Cowboys are better.
Oh, unbelievable. Well, hey, James, before we dive into the teams, I know Great Bridge Boys, Kellum Girls, a myriad of teams, and people can check out your rankings, and I want you to highlight that, how they can find all your different content. I know you do a soccer podcast for people, too, that they can check out on Spotify. I saw it last night, and the reason I know the name is because he is the son of a former basketball coach in our area at Churchland. He's now the athletic director at Smithfield. Pat Doolin, we're talking about his son, Brody, freshman. Did you happen to see his goal last night? And is that I wish I had the video queued up here, unfortunately, to show to folks that haven't seen it, but you can check it out on Twitter, X, and Instagram, I'm sure. But did you happen to see his goal? And is that at the top of your list of those that you've seen so far in the early portion of the season as we approach the midway point?
So, fun fact, his dad actually sent me the video this morning, and if you want, I can share my screen. I can pop it up real quick.
If you've got the ability, we'll take that for folks. Now, people listening on Spotify or Apple won't be able to watch it, but those on YouTube and Facebook and so forth can check out the goal. It's a heck of a goal. It looked like it was from 30 plus feet out, right?
Probably about 40 because it's more of a free kick closer to the sideline. So it's got the angle to it. It's not just like a straight on field goal because up there they're playing at Warner Stadium up in Williamsburg.
Correct.
And it's not just straight on like it would be at the goalpost. It's actually from closer to the sideline. It's about 40 yards, flies over the goalkeeper's head. It is a fantastic goal. Let's see if I can pull it up on my end. I've got it on my other screen. I don't know if I'm going to be able to swing it over.
No worries. You can't.
But yeah, it's fantastic goal. We actually, for my Instagram and for all of my content, we actually put out a goals of the week section for boys, for girls, and then we do Sunday submissions from fans. So fans can actually send us goals, and we edit the clips, put them all together, and then we put them on our Instagram so that folks can go to 757 Soccer Chat, 757_soccer_chat. And they can actually check out all of the different goals that happen during the week. And they can see all of the different awesome shots and from all the high school players, as well as we do saves of the week as well. So I was a former goalkeeper myself, so wanted to highlight some goalkeeper athleticism. So we do saves of the week as well. Tons of content. And we put those out. We've been putting those out consistently every week since the season has begun. We've got about probably 25 videos worth of just ridiculous highlights strictly from 757 athletes, which we are ecstatic to be a part of the 757 soccer community.
Awesome.
Hey, James, real quick, you mentioned about you playing. When we get like our first time guest on here or guests we haven't had in a while, let the people know your background soccer, where you went to high school, any play after high school and up to the point you're at now.
So I didn't have the distinction of being able to play after high school. I went to what used to be Woodrow Wilson High School in Portsmouth, graduated from there in 2008. After that, I spent a number of years coaching at Wilson, and then I was the head coach for Manor Boys for the past 5 years. Stepped down from that to take some time for myself, and this actually is a product of missing the sport and missing being a part of the high school soccer scene and wanting to be a part of it as well. I've done a few different things as far as athletics go and working with different athletic programs. Worked with VB City for a little bit of time when they first started up, and pushing now to be more of an all-encompassing framework and mirror for all of the things that are happening in the Hampton Roads community for soccer. A lot of the things that we have going on now in the area go unspoken or unnoticed. There's a lot of new semi-pro clubs that are happening, and then a lot of our athletes who do well in sports like basketball and football, they also come onto the pitch and they perform as well, even if it's not their necessarily their main sport. So my thing now for this is trying to push forward and put those athletes into the spotlight with the help of the community, and really make soccer the spring sport when it comes to high school athletics. Obviously, we've got football and we've got basketball. And now it's kind of there seems to be a hole when it gets to this time of the year for high school athletics, because there's not a lot of baseball talk or softball talk. There's not a premier outlet for those places. So really wanting to find an opportunity, find a space where we can really highlight more high school kids and more 757 soccer centric teams in the area through this medium.
That's awesome to hear. And again, we mentioned VB United out here. A lot of games at the Sportsplex where we are doing our podcast with lacrosse and soccer. You see our man Nick up there. Will VB United go 12-0? We'll get some thoughts on what Jane thinks about them and some other soccer beyond just the high school realm before we let them run here. But I want to hit on what we got you here. And again, we have so many great things over here, from lacrosse to field hockey, soccer, football, in between. Is it Great Bridge the number one boys soccer team? Is it Kellam the number one girls soccer team? How right, wrong is that? What's your view of it right now? If you had to take it big picture scope, I know there's, as Ed knows this with basketball being a coach, various divisions, folks that follow the sports scene, whether it's the winter, fall, or spring, know it's, I wouldn't say clunky, but very different from years ago when it was AAA, AA, single A at 6 classifications. What's your view of things right now? Big picture, as we're at the midway point thereabouts.
It's clunky, but it works in some ways and it doesn't in others. In a way that it does work is it puts a lot of teams together that should play together. A lot of the 3A schools, the smaller-ish schools, your Lake Taylors, your Norcombs, your Colonial Heights, your Lakelands, they belong playing together because they're all the same size and they're all generally the same skill level. But then you look at a division like 5A that has 14 teams, and you're looking at 10 beach schools, and you're looking at 4 Southeastern District schools. And if anybody knows anything about soccer, everyone knows that this is what we would call the premier division, not just in Hampton Roads, but in the state. It has Great Bridge, it has Hickory, it has Cox, Kellam, First Colonial, Ocean Lakes, Kempsville. It's just stacked. And a lot of soccer folks kind of grit our teeth at the VHSL for and the Beach District and the Southeastern District going, how did you let this happen? Genuinely, when we get to the playoffs, the 5A boys and girls playoffs, regional playoff matches will look like a state tournament. You genuinely could put those 8 teams, when we get to the playoffs, in the state tournament and no one will bat an eye. And you could leave the rest of the entire state alone. So consensus right now, Great Bridge is the best boys team. In my rankings, that is where I had them as well. But right behind them are different powerhouses from different districts and different areas. For soccer, soccer's a little different. We claim Williamsburg, we claim Smithfield, we claim Eastern Shore, as far as the 757 goes, because it's everybody comes together for those regions and those matches. And a lot of for soccer, there's a lot of travel involved when it comes to going to different matchups and going to your regional matchups. So we claim all those schools, and especially now that the Williamsburg kind of reporters, journalism spectrum, they're also combining with the 757 spectrum here with the pilot. those are also it kind of conglomerated, especially more so after COVID. So now you're looking at Jamestown. Jamestown, boys and girls, both of them in the top 5 for my rankings. You're looking at Menchville, both of them top 10 for my rankings, both boys and girls. For the ladies' side, however, I've actually gone a different way from the consensus. I think that the Lafayette Rams are the best girls' side in the within 757 soccer right now, as far as high school girls go. Now, Kellum and First Colonial, both of those ladies' squads are right there with them. If I keep telling people, if I ranked Kellum 1, Lafayette 2, First Colonial 3, I wouldn't be wrong. If I ranked First Colonial 1, Kellum 2, Lafayette 3, I wouldn't be wrong. But after seeing all of those teams, especially I was at the First Colonial and Kellum match as well, and seeing all of those teams play multiple times, for me, Lafayette, they're just that little smidge above that takes the cake. And with what's surprising with that is they are a 3A classification. So they actually are one of the smaller schools in the Hampton Roads area. And because of that, a lot of people dismiss them. A lot of people say, we're not going to worry about them. But I'm willing to bet if they came out to the beach and they played Kellum, Cox, First Colonial, Ocean Lakes, Princess Anne, Kempsville, all of those squads, they do just as well, if not better than, some of the squads that would be in the 5A spectrum. And then I'm gonna tip my cap to Ed here real quick as well, for his former school, for Nansemond River. Both the boys and the ladies, they are in the top 15 in the rankings, and they're fantastic to watch. The ladies actually beat Menchville Thursday night 4-0, and then the boys last night beat Salem 4-0. So both those squads jumping up into the rankings, doing very, very well. Definitely going to be seeing them a lot more as the season goes on.
Awesome stuff. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, James, where's my Nansemond River people? I was in the gym the other night after school doing some work, and the girls came in. I think it was doing a solar eclipse. They weren't allowed to practice outside.
Yeah.
They were in the gym working, and I went to kick a few times against the goalie. I said, I'm going to score on you. I think I made 1 out of 6 kicks. And that was it.
I'm amazed you made that one.
My leg was going to fall off.
Yeah.
They're good girls, fun girls to be around, very active.
Oh, yeah.
Very, just a little bit of practice I saw, very intense. And I know the boys have done well, too, lately. So I just wanted to see where you had them in your rankings and maybe what their chances are in terms of moving on in the regionals later on.
They're climbing. I think, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the boys are undefeated. I want to say they've got 4 wins or 5 wins and a draw.
Yeah, they're undefeated.
And then the ladies are as well. I got my standings here.
When I asked her, I think the young lady told me they had played 3 at the time and they hadn't lost any. So I didn't know.
Yeah, because they played Smithfield and they drew with Smithfield, and then this week coming up was I'll be honest, I was supposed to go to the Smithfield game on Thursday, and I swapped it in my calendar for another one, and then that one got canceled, and I was going to go to the Jamestown Tab matchup, which was a matchup of top 5 undefeateds in my rankings. And then the storm popped that out on Thursday, because I work in Churchland right now. So being there and then trying to get up through tunnel traffic to Williamsburg for a 5 o'clock kickoff when I get out at 4:30 is impossible. So I meant to go. I didn't get a chance to go to Nansemond River the other night, but I saw them play Maury Tuesday. And both of those squads, the Maury ladies and the Nansemond River ladies, that was a regional final matchup from last season that Nansemond River won their first regional title for Region 5B over the Commodores last year. So I wanted to see that rematch. And then The Nansemond River ladies, they took care of business and won that matchup 2-0. But I will give a shout out to the Maury goalkeeper, Lily White. She is a D1 commit. She is genuinely the best goalkeeper in the 757 on the ladies' side that I have seen. Just fantastic athleticism, fantastic range, and she can distribute the ball. She's probably the best distributor of finding a teammate with a pass from the back that I've seen in 20 years. And I've been around high school soccer for a long time. She's an incredible player. So kudos to her for what she's doing. And then the Maury boys unfortunately fell, I believe, 4-0 as well. Close match for about 70 minutes, and then Nansemond River kind of took over in the last 10 and dealt them a blow. Maury boys, unfortunately, are down this year. They've only won 1 match out of 6. And being in Region 5B, where the point standings, the way that the teams are ranked for playoffs, that actually has them 9th right now out of 10 teams, and they're going to if the playoffs started today, they would miss. They would be the 9th seed and they would be out, which when you look at 5B, while 5A, yes, is a powerhouse with all the beach schools and Great Bridge and Indian River, Deep Creek, 5B is going to be probably the most fun playoff matchups to watch because the level of soccer isn't quite – it's a different kind of soccer. It's a little more physical. It's a little less technical, but there's still really good ability and really good quality among the kids. But the action gets a little bit closer together. So there's going to be a lot more fouls, a lot more whistles, and a lot more intensity that you would see. It would almost be like going to the fields on a weekend and watching a tournament. It's
like the 5B football and 5B boys basketball. Some really competitive. We saw Maury dominate in football, and then at Warwick and Kings Fork and Nansemond all were challengers. And in basketball, Woodside was dominant, and they had challengers on the boys' side like a Maury, a Kings Fork, Norview. Ed's team won 15 or so games. But yeah, you're right. I feel like there's a little bit of that parallel there with it as we get ready to wrap it up here with James Clark, 757 Soccer Chat. We'll give him a chance to tell you how you can find his content before we run here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Our man Garrett Jackson with VB United beat VB City. He wants to know is the question.
Here's what I'll say for that. They should, because they're playing in USL 2 and VB City is playing in a lesser league. But they're gonna play I think twice this season, so we'll find out. But as far as my content, you can find me again, 757_soccer_chat, both on Instagram and on Twitter. And then we also are 757 Soccer Chat now on YouTube and 757 Soccer Chat on Spotify. That is where I post all of our podcasts. I do a podcast every Sunday. It drops generally between 10 and 12 a.m. Or 10 a.m. and noon. And drop that every week talking about what's going on in the rankings. We always post our rankings every weekend as well now that we are past spring break. So the district standings as well as the regional standings and our own opinions on the top 15 in Hampton Roads for both boys and girls. I post all of that information there. And then the last thing we've got going on is the 757 All-Star Games.
Okay.
It will now be not just a game like it was last year for the boys. It is the 757 All-Star Games at the Sportsplex, June 10th.
Awesome.
So a local conglomerate of soccer community folks are putting that on. Fidgety Fan is providing the kits. The Sportsplex has graciously allowed us to play at that site. And then a number of coaches will be selecting players from a pool of players that will be submitted by all the coaches around the region. And then it will be a girls match first and then a boys match. Again, that's June 10th at the Plex.
Awesome.
Is going to be the 757 All-Star Games Year 2.
Nice. Well, let's make it a plan, James, to get you back on maybe that June 3rd or right around that Saturday before as we get wrapping up the state playoff time. I know Ed wants to ask you about when we get some more time about how we're going to match up with teams around the state and that type of thing, and also preview the All-Star game coming up. That sound like a plan to you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, honestly, we've got regions coming up in middle May, so that might be a good time too. Just
get you on middle of May, end of May, right before the All-Star game in June there, and we can highlight that and some of the more names to highlight besides obviously a couple of the goalkeepers, standouts, and our man Brody Doolin, who's a fabulous freshman at Smithfield we've talked about. Actually, we got one here. What would you say? We'll get you out on this one here. Our man Derek says, what would you say is the 757 regular season game of the year to attend, boys and girls? Give us a quick one here, James. What's the game of the year if you got to pick it for a fan out there to go check out?
Girls, Grassfield and Western Branch on April 25th. I will be at that one. Rain, snow, sleet, I don't care. That is the matchup for the ladies to watch. As far as the boys go, this month right now, Cox Ocean Lakes, April 16th. Check that one out. Cox Ocean Lakes, April 16th. And then also, if you're on the peninsula side, Gloucester, Menchville. Those two squads are going to have a drag-out fight on the 16th as well.
Ooh,
for the
fight,
Peninsula
Ed.
District.
It's up your alley.
Oh yeah, that one's if you're on the peninsula, go watch that match. It's going to be fantastic game to watch.
Awesome. I look forward to it. Thank you, James, for all the insight and info. And go check him out on the web. You heard it, Instagram, Spotify, the podcast, and so much more. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll talk again soon.
Awesome, gents. Thank you very much for having me.
You bet. James Clark with 757 Soccer Chat with us today, as we will take a time out and hear from some more of our sponsors that make it possible for us to do this with you